Well, let's talk about Poch a little bit more, because I think we get to a point now where this is a crucial time in the season. I don't know where they will finish in the league, but like you said, very rightly so, the FA Cup has to be the main priority. I don't care if you finish 12th or 13th in the league, or even 10th or 9th, it doesn't make any difference. However, you win the FA Cup, and in a way, one, you qualify for Europe, which is a good thing, and two, you kind of save your season a little bit. So this has to be the Newcastle game in the quarterfinal, and then whoever they could face after that has to be the priority. Where do you think the Chelsea fan base, whether they're like season ticket holders, like hardcore or not so much, I don't care. Where do you think Poch is now within that Chelsea fan base? Because it looked to me yesterday, I was frustrated. I'm not a Chelsea fan, as you know. I was frustrated watching that, listening to him after the game, on television, in his press conference, everything. He feels on social media that a lot of Chelsea fans were quite disappointed, angry. I think Poch was even trending at some point. Where do you think, what's the dynamic there, do you think?
So, all right, well, first of all, I think it's Leicester actually in the
Leicester, Newcastle.
Newcastle playing Manchester City.
Sorry.
And again, so on paper, you're playing a team that's a notch below you, and a team that's, frankly, like Leeds United, more preoccupied
by going out,
right? That's going to be their priority. For sure. So in some ways, it's set up nicely for you to get a run. One out of United or Liverpool will be out, and whatever else. I go to Stamford Bridge regularly, as most listeners know. Stamford Bridge and the Emirates they're the two teams I watched in person the most. I think there's still a lot of love for the previous owner and what he built over the years. Yeah. When things got bad at Chelsea, you hear Roman Abramovich's name ring out. I think there's been a lot of support for Pochettino. There's been a lot of recognition that he had an enormous amount of injuries to deal with. Mm-hmm. I thought there would be more of a sense of him as because he's so identified with Tottenham Hotspur, but really I was wrong on that. I don't think people care about that.
Yeah.
I think the issue at Chelsea is there's so many people to point fingers at that Poch kind of gets lost in the shuffle, right? Because there's people who ever go with Boldy. There's people who ever go with the recruitment. There's so many different factors that I think that has helped Pochettino. And I think it is legitimate, the injuries he's had and whatever. But still, at this stage of the season, I would expect Chelsea to be performing better.
Yeah, 100%.
But I also think...
So you think the fans want him to stay next season, for example?
I mean, it's hard to tell because there's a knee-jerk factor. I would like to assume that the more intelligent fans realize that squad construction and this business model is wrong. They've just done a poor job of it. We've mentioned the fact that they have one center forward left, and it's Nico Jackson, who
he's not a center forward.
May not be. Some people say he's not a center forward. Some people say even if he is a center forward, he's not good enough for a team that wants to be what Chelsea are, right? There should be an alternative. They had one alternative, Armando Broja, and they moved him on. Which is something I completely do not understand.
Me neither.
But then I look at midfield, right? We mentioned Caicedo and Enzo before. Fine. They're both fit. They're both playing. But then you have the situation where Conor Gallagher's missing, right? The third midfielder. And all of a sudden, everything collapses. And I wonder who's on the bench. And who are the alternatives to Caicedo? And it's Lashley, who's injured. But even if he wasn't injured,
he's too young.
How many games has this guy played in his career?
I know.
The other one, Romeo Lavia, who they spent the house on, again, unlucky, you're injured. How experienced was he? How many games had he played? At that point, I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, completely.
If something happens to Caicedo, and Caicedo's not been good, a little better more recent, but he's not been. They spent so much money on them that I don't think either one has been playing up to his feet.
No.
Either one of them gets injured. Who goes into central midfield at this stage, right? So where are you going forward? You're going to have to assess these two other guys, Ugochukwu and Lavia, who you haven't seen play because they've been injured all the time.
Yeah.
So you have a question there. You got the Conor Gallagher thing. Do you extend his contract? Do you move him on? Do you sell him? You may need to sell him for PSR, and I'll get to that in a minute. Maybe you don't need to sell him. Maybe you keep him. I don't know. I don't think Pochettino dislikes him as much as you do in terms of his contribution on the pitch. But you're kind of up against the wall on that.
Yeah.
So all these things, the striker situation, the situation in midfield, at the back in this game last night, did you see who was playing? Alfie Gilchrist, right? Alfie Gilchrist, as far as I know, has always played right back.
Yeah.
In like a John Terry, I should be a center back. I should be John Terry at center back, but I'm maybe not tall enough, so I'll play right back situation, right?
Yeah.
The dude had to play left back. So
I think Chalobah came on a right back against Liverpool, and Gusto moved from right to left. So I thought Gusto would play left back again against Leeds, but no. It's strange.
But if you play Gusto at left back, you lose his attacking prowess.
But
right?
Gilchrist is probably better at right back than at left back anyway. So
Probably, but Gilchrist is a defensive right back.
Yeah.
He's not going to attack. So he wants to have one guy attacking. It's just so badly constructed. And again, maybe Colwell was tired or had a boo-boo, or maybe that's why he was out. That's why we saw Chalobah. Chalobah's another one, right? Chalobah's supposedly been injured all year. It's funny because he's injured, but then they're flogging him around to any team that would listen.
Yeah, they tried to sell him.
There's just a lot of questions there about how this team was put together.
Yeah.
Another question. I don't think Robert Sanchez is particularly good. I wouldn't have spent all that money on him. So he gets injured. Petrovic plays in his place. Does okay.
Does well, yeah.
This is the game for which you make the change. Sanchez, who hasn't played since before his injury.
In a way, you rotate for the Cups, don't you? A lot of keepers do that because...
You were in a cup game before and Petrovic plays and Sanchez was on the bench.
True, but maybe he was not just fit enough to...
But in 3 days, the goalkeeper suddenly... I don't know.
If you wanted to give him some game time, wasn't that the game?
Give him some game time in the league when you're just playing out a string of irrelevant games at this stage, right?
Yeah, true.
These are the things that when I look forward, again, I you know how I love.
But I was just going to say, going back to game time and finding consistency in your own performances over as long as possible, 90 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever. The Leeds first goal, when Disasi tries this pass to Caicedo, Caicedo, not even looking, not even checking who is behind him, if Gray is far. By the way, I think Archie Gray, I know the Gray family obviously have all been great footballers, so they would probably know that. I've seen their genes, but what a talent he looks. How can Disasi pass the ball like me to you, Gab, and if you're Caicedo, that Caicedo can't see that there's someone behind his back, which shows that they don't even actually know how to build from the back.
This is really odd because also, where was Caicedo before coming here? He was at Brighton, a team that builds from the back all the time.
Yeah, but with a proper structure. Again, we go back. I've said this million times this season on the show. There is no structure to this team. Pochettino can tell me anything he wants. There's progress. There's this. They're young. There's that. I do not care. They have no structure whatsoever.
And he's had the time to do that because they haven't had European football. So you've had
one game a week all season.
That I think is something that's, and also Disasi and Caicedo, are two guys who've been fit most of the season.
Yeah, they've played a lot. They've played with each
other. A lot of
other.
guys have been out.
I know.
When I look at this, and we play the game, right? Let's project 3 years into the future. Pochettino and Chelsea are in a Champions League semi-final. And they're winning the league. How many of these guys are realistically there and starting? And when I look at this, I don't think either goalkeeper is necessarily, I'm not saying they definitely won't be there, is necessarily viable. Reece James, if fit, in theory, Malo Gusto would have to really improve a lot.
Yeah.
Of the center backs, we have no idea if Fofana is ever going to play football again. Or if he does,
he's probably the most talented of all of them. Disasi, Badiashile, and Fofana, just for the 3 French guys, he's surely the most talented when fit.
Fine. I'm not sure any of them fit the bill at that level. Thiago Silva will be 42 in a couple of years' time.
Thiago Silva is gone in the summer.
He'll be gone. Colwell, okay, fine.
Yeah, Colwell is
Chile?
the future.
I'm not sure how big he is on Chile, frankly.
No, it doesn't seem like
my man Ian Matson's gone. I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah.
I think Dortmund are going to buy him out, right? In midfield, Caicedo, fine. I have to believe he's going to improve. Enzo, fine. Yeah. Gallagher, his future's in doubt.
Yeah.
Cole Palmer, I don't love him as much as other people do, but fine. He can be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Sterling? I don't know that Sterling meshes with Pochettino because he's had a really up and down season.
Yeah, he has.
Nico Jackson, we've covered. I think we know the answer to that.
Oh, he might develop really nicely. It's hard to tell because I think he's got
somebody
potential.
Coming off the bench.
He's got potential. Same as Mudryk. Mudryk has a lot of potential, but you just don't know if the potential will ever be unlocked. If it is, when it will be, and even if mentally, if he's ready, to take on what he has to do to become a superstar, like a world-class player, which he's not now. He might have the potential for it, but we just don't know.
There's a long.
And Kunku could be, but if he stays fit.
And Kunku, I think, definitely will be if fit. I mean, I'm team Nkunku there.
No, me too.
But you see, like, even in terms of pathway, there's still so many question marks. And that's what's hard to do. And they will have some very obvious financial restrictions. And I want to address this because...
Just before PSR, just quickly. Do you think there's anything in the injuries? It's just bad luck. Is it just one of those seasons that can happen? We see it with Liverpool. We saw it with Newcastle.
Well, they have a collaboration with something called Infinite Athlete, right? So the athletes last infinite... No.
Although I think especially Newcastle are looking into the whole injury thing, whether it's from the medical staff, there's an issue there in terms of recovery. I don't know anything. Do you think there could be, or this is just one of those things?
I've said this before. I really, really, really believe this. Sometimes you get clubs that have rashes of injuries, and then people start questioning the medical staff, the team doctor. I mean, you come from that background, being the son of a team doctor. I'm not a doctor, and even if I were a doctor, I'm not a doctor who has visited Romeo Lavia or seen Wesley Fofana's charts. I am in no position to judge this, right? People have said, but when there's so many muscular injuries, it's got to be the fault of the medical staff. And again, it's
all
not
the
just
training, maybe.
Newcastle or the training or Milan. This question is so far above my pay grade that I don't feel qualified to answer that. It might be randomness. It might be whatever else. I do think there's a bit of a disconnect. Again, the doctors are the experts here. And yet you've got the coaches and the coaching staff and the director of football or whatever running the training sessions. There's got to be trust. There's got to be belief. But I'm very skeptical of this. I'm skeptical of, there's different types of software and stuff that supposedly help mitigate this. I don't know. I kind of assume it's such an easy fix if it was that simple. That everybody would do it, right?
Yeah. It's just an enormous amount of injuries.
It really is. I'm just addressing the PSR, which is the Profit and Sustainability Regulations, the new version of financial fair play. There is a story out there this week that because of the way it works, Chelsea have to watch their spending, and they're in danger of breaching. There's a story that suggested that by June 30th, they have to raise $100 million.
Yeah.
I just wanted to address this a little bit. Chelsea denied this, apparently. I think Chelsea, there is one good thing, let's see Chelsea fans or something positive, is I don't think it would have any trouble raising that $100 million. So first of all, even if it were true, and I think it's going to be less. So first of all,
but is it plausible because of all the money they spend? Do you expect at some point that they will have to sell just to balance the books? It makes sense, right?
But the good news is they have so much to sell.
Yeah, true. But
and remember, when you sell, also you take off the wage liability for the player in the next season as well. So there's a savings there too. So, but just of that $100 million, I think the way Maatsen's played for Borussia Dortmund, I think the clause to make the deal permanent is around $35 million. I don't know if they're going to offer $35 million. They may offer close to it, but I think that's done.
Yeah.
And also people forget Lewis Hall to Newcastle. That's an obligation to buy.
Yeah, that's right.
That's another $30 million. You're 2/3 of the way there. You can pretty easily make other savings before we get into the world of,
and
Lukaku and Ziyech and all these other guys on loan, right?
There are two academic products as well, so all the money comes straight into
profit. It's straight profit on that situation. So in that sense, I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
What it does mean is they can't have massive liabilities, in the upcoming year. They're going to have to. I'm sure they can make some signings, but they're going to have to hunker down and work with what they have. I don't think they have any stars that they're going to sell or other teams are going to come and swoop in for the simple reason that
they haven't been good.
Well, other than Enzo, who would anybody else come and want to buy, right?
Definitely.
At this stage. So that's a little bit of a slight silver lining amidst all the gloom.